Once upon a time, in the beautiful city of Lagos, there lived a young woman whose name was Vanessa. She was the kind of girl who knew that she was beautiful and acted like it. Her skin glowed like melted caramel, and her clothes smelled of a mixture of vanilla and honey. Her perfume collection featured all the luxury perfumes one could ever think of. Her wardrobe was every girl's dream, as Vanessa lived the life that many could only dream of. With the wealth, however, came pride, a problem that not even her parents could address. Vanessa believed she was God's favorite. She would always boast that she was created on a public holiday, when heaven had extra time to perfect her beauty. She was so full of herself that she didn't see a need to mingle with people who she referred to as strugglers. Vanessa had never struggled for anything in her life. Her father was an oil tycoon who owned several oil wells in the country. He loved Vanessa so much and never allowed her lack anything in life. Her monthly allowance was enough to set someone up for life, but Vanessa did not see it as enough. She always demanded for more, knowing that her father could never say no to her. She grew up spoiled, and this reflected in how she treated those she believed were beneath her. Vanessa did not just think she was better than them, she was convinced of it. To her, poor people were background decorations in the movie of her life. Whenever she passed by the street vendors or beggars, she would raise her nose so high that one would think she was smelling the heavens. Vanessa believed some people were born to suffer. She always thanked God for sending her to a wealthy family, calling those in poor homes unfortunate. She could not imagine living life like a normal girl without all the luxuries that she currently enjoyed. Her father's mansion was so big that it had a pool shaped like the letter V of her name, Vanessa. Her bedroom alone had a chandelier that could change the life of a whole family if it was sold. Yet, despite all she had, Vanessa lacked kindness. Her beauty shone, her bank account overflowed, but her heart, it was as empty as a politician's promise after election day. Her parents tried to correct her severally, reminding her that life could change at any moment, but Vanessa refused to listen. She told her mom that life can never change for someone like her because she was not born to suffer. Some people are built for poverty, mommy. I, Vanessa, was built for enjoyment. Her maids did not like her much because of how wickedly she treated them. They called her Madam Pride because all Vanessa did was treat them like dust beneath her feet. She would yell at them for the smallest things, reminding them how poverty had messed up their sense of reasoning. Vanessa always blamed their poor background for any mistakes that they made. She hated poor people and believed they carried some kind of invisible curse that could infect her at any given opportunity. To Vanessa, helping the poor was like throwing money into a trash bin, pointless, dirty, and beneath her dignity. One afternoon, when the Lagos sun was blazing and the world shimmered like melted glass, something happened that would change Vanessa's life forever. Vanessa was in her room, lying on her king-size bed, wrapped in soft blankets. She was scrolling through Instagram, liking only pictures of rich people and skipping those of her old schoolmates who she believed were not on her level. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the gate. The gateman Kunle slowly opened the gate to see who it was. There stood an old woman, frail-looking, with dusty feet and hands that trembled as she held out a bowl and begged for some water to drink. "Please, my son, I beg you," the old woman whispered weakly. "Just more water. The sun is too much. I'm thirsty." Kunle felt pity for her. He took the bowl and was about heading inside to fetch some water for her when Vanessa approached the gate angrily. "Who is making noise at my gate?" Vanessa said, her face twisting like one whose patience was now running thin. When she saw the beggar, her expression changed from irritation to full-blown disgust. "Excuse me, what is that thing doing at my gate?" she shouted, pointing as if the woman was a stray animal. The old man bowed slightly as she began to speak. "My daughter, please, I only want water, just water to drink." Before she could finish, Vanessa hissed so loudly that the gate man flinched. "Oh, so you walked all the way to my mansion to beg for water?" She laughed mockingly. "You think because your life is hard that you can come and disturb me? You want to use your poverty-stricken hand to knock on my gate? Do you know who I am?" The old man looked at her with tired eyes. I am only thirsty, my daughter. Please help me with water. Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically as she rebuked the woman for referring to her as her daughter. How can a poor wretched woman like you be my mother? I reject it, she said as the woman apologized and asked for water again. Filled with so much anger, Vanessa walked into the compound, grabbed the bucket of water and poured it on the old woman, who stood there drenched from head to toe. The old woman gasped as the freezing water hit her skin. Kunle stood frozen, unable to speak, as Vanessa gave the woman a piece of her mind. Next time, if you need water, drink your sweat and never you come close to my house again, she said as she ordered Kunle to lock the gate. Vanessa grumbled as she returned to her room. She felt no atom of remorse for the old woman, whose only crime was being poor and thirsty. Vanessa decided to post on Instagram. She took a video of the old woman earlier and decided to create a content that she knew would go viral. Vanessa posted the video online with a caption that set social media on fire. Why do beggars exist? Why do they even choose to live when they know their life is nothing to write home about? Imagine this beggar coming to my mansion to knock and beg for water. Is the audacity for me? These beggars need to know where to draw the line, she said as few people laughed and supported her post. Others bashed her for being so insensitive, but Vanessa had a savage answer for each and every one of them. Feeling fulfilled, Vanessa decided to take a nap. She felt a pang of headache and blamed the poor woman for it. Hours later, she woke up and everything was wrong. Her room was gone, her chandelier was gone, her AC was gone, even her silk sheets and mansion were all gone. Vanessa was lying on the hard dusty floor inside a small smelly house. Her skin was now wrinkled and her clothes old and torn. Her feet were bare and cracked as she screamed out in terror and ran outside. People stared at her like a mad woman as she ran towards a nearby car to look at herself. To her complete terror, Vanessa realized that she was now in the body of the poor beggar. She stood there frozen as her mind tried to understand what was happening. A moment ago, she was in her bedroom taking a nap, surrounded by luxury. Now, here she was on the streets of Lagos, shaking like a vibrating Nokia phone in the frail and trembling body of the same woman who she had humiliated. No! No! This cannot be! Vanessa screamed as she began to yell out for help. Help! Somebody help me! I'm Vanessa! I'm not this woman! Vanessa from Lekki Phase 1. My father is Mr. Ade Emmanuel. People around bursted out into laughter as they began to mock her, saying, Who dashed this one Lekki with her smelly mouth? Be like say this one don kolo. Another said as Vanessa grabbed his hand and began to plead with him for help. Please, I'm Vanessa. This is not my body. I don't belong here. The man pushed her away like trash as he began to speak. See me see trouble. What mama wey her brain don't cook finish. Vanessa, for the first time in her life, felt fear tighten around her like a rope. She began to cry. Not the soft, elegant tears she used for Instagram pictures, but loud, ugly, embarrassing cry that shook her entire body. She walked towards her mansion, barefoot, sweating and dirty. Vanessa met Kunle at the gate. She pleaded for him to allow her in, but Kunle, instead of allowing her into the house, rushed forward with a stick. Hey, go back, oh, go back. You cannot be coming here to beg every day. Vanessa cried out. Kunle, it's me. It's me, Vanessa. I swear, something strange happened. I'm inside this old woman's body, and I don't know how it happened. Kunle laughed so hard that his uniform almost ripped apart. You, Vanessa? Vanessa fell to her knees as she began to plead with him for help. Please, Kunle, call my daddy. Let him see me, please. Kunle lifted his stick as he warned her to stay away. If you don't leave this gate now, I will help you meet your ancestors, he said to Vanessa, who was clueless on what to do. As they stood there, the gate opened and out stepped the old beggar, who was now standing there in Vanessa's young body. She stood there calm as she watched Vanessa try to convince Kunle that the old woman had stolen her body. Vanessa burst into tears as she pleaded with the old woman, who was now in her body, to return her body to her. That's my body! Please! Please give it back! I'm Vanessa! You are the beggar! Please! The woman smirked as she began to speak. Oh, so you are me now? The same thing you poured water on? Is that what you're saying? Vanessa held her by the ankles as she pleaded for mercy. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything I said. Please give me back my body. Kunle pulled her away roughly as he began to yell angrily. Old woman, please behave yourself, oh. Vanessa was dragged away like a sack of onions. She spent the rest of her day wandering the streets, begging for help, trying to find someone who would believe her, but nobody cared. Nobody listened. Nobody pitied her. Her stomach growled loudly as her throat burned with thirst and her feet began to ache from walking. By evening, her once proud spirit was shattered completely. She stretched out her hand to a woman who was frying puff-puff by the roadside, pleading for some puff-puff to eat. Please, just one. I haven't eaten, she said to the woman, who hissed loudly and told her to get out of her sight. You want to eat my profit, you old woman? Vanessa staggered backwards, tears spilling down her face. By nightfall, she had collapsed near a gutter, trembling from hunger and drinking from a public tap like a stray goat. Vanessa had never been this hungry in her entire life. She had never felt her stomach twist like a rope, being pulled by angry village children. Her once perfect legs that used to walk only on Italian marble were now shaking on dusty streets like a generator with low fuel. That night, she crawled beside the gutter, shivering. Her pride had cracked, but not broken yet. She woke the next morning to the painful cries of her stomach empty. This is hell, she groaned. This is actual hell. But even in her suffering, Vanessa remained selfish. That morning, a tired mother with 2 children approached her. Mama, please, do you have 50 naira? My children have not eaten today. Vanessa looked at her in irritation. Do I look like Central Bank? I beg shift. The mother walked away sadly. As the woman left, a heavy wind blew against Vanessa's face, almost like the universe sighed in disappointment, but Vanessa did not understand. She just hissed loudly and walked away, her stomach rumbling as she moved around looking for food to eat. Hours later, she came across a half loaf of bread by the roadside. Her eyes lit up like Christmas light as she reached out to grab it. However, another beggar also reached out in the same time to grab the same bread, but Vanessa, not willing to share, snatched it from the ground before he could reach it. He begged her to cut some for him, but Vanessa rolled her eyes and called him a joker. Will you shift your hand? I saw it first, and as you can see, I have not eaten since yesterday. The old man pleaded with tears in his eyes, but Vanessa ignored his cries and devoured the bread without mercy. She sat by the roadside, sad as she wondered how long she was going to remain trapped in the old woman's body. Vanessa saw firsthand what it felt like to be poor, not only poor, but wretched, with no means of livelihood. Her maids, who she once mocked for being poor, were now doing far better than she was, and Vanessa could not endure the humiliation anymore. She walked up to their mansion and waited by the gate to meet her parents, who she believed would believe her story. However, when her father drove by, he tossed some money to her on the floor as he drove into the mansion without even sparing her a second glance. Vanessa felt so useless in that moment. She used part of the money to pay for a call center as she called her own number repeatedly to speak with the old woman who had now taken over her life. Vanessa yelled angrily at the woman, threatening to deal with her if she failed to return her body. Give me back my body this instant, you wicked old woman. I swear, if I catch you, I will teach you a lesson you will never forget. The old woman, in Vanessa's sweet young voice, simply laughed softly through the phone. Now you know what it feels like to be poor and thirsty, she said calmly as she laughed and hung up the call. Vanessa could not contain her rage. She screamed out in anger, hoping that doing so would wake her from the nightmare that had now become her life. Her anger carried her through the day, but hunger humbled her again. By afternoon, she collapsed beside a kiosk. A kind-looking man saw her trembling and handed her a small piece of roasted plantain. Take, Mama, it's not much, but it's something. Vanessa snatched it from him at first, but before her teeth could touch it, a small girl tugged her torn wrapper. Mama, please, can I have some? I haven't eaten. Vanessa hissed and looked away, but the child's stomach growled loudly. A familiar pain, the same pain Vanessa had felt all week. Her proud heart struggled, but something inside her softened. Take, Vanessa whispered, handing the entire plantain to the girl. The girl smiled so wide that Vanessa felt something warm in her chest, the kind of warmth money could never buy. Hours later, Vanessa saw a little boy crying at a busy junction. "Please, Mama, help me cross." Normally, she would have walked past, but something nudged her. Vanessa took his tiny hands, shaking as she held him and guided him across the road. His smile was enough to melt even a proud heart. "Mama, thank you." Vanessa blinked back tears, as nobody had ever thanked her with such sincerity in their voice. She loved how she felt in that moment and decided to always do good. The next morning, just as Vanessa was walking around in search of food, her eyes caught sight of a woman whose dress was stained with menstrual blood. Vanessa could see some men laughing and whispering to themselves as they pointed at the woman, who had no idea that her dress was stained. Vanessa, without thinking twice, rushed to the woman and tied the scarf around her waist. The woman froze. She touched the scarf, then looked at Vanessa with trembling eyes. "Oh my God, thank you so much," she whispered, her voice cracking with embarrassment and relief. I didn't know it had stained." Vanessa held her hands gently. "It's okay," she said softly. "You're fine. Go home. Do not mind them." The woman burst into tears and hugged her tightly. For the first time in her entire life, Vanessa hugged someone without thinking about class, status or perfume, just humanity. And right there, something shifted inside her chest, a quiet breaking, a painful healing that she never knew that she needed. Days later, and Vanessa came across her friends sitting by a roadside restaurant. As they had some drinks, they were talking about her real self, how she believed the world revolved around her, all because her parents were rich. They talked about all her savage comments online and how they only clapped for her to deceive her. One even revealed how she created a fake profile just to troll her online, and the others laughed loudly, clinking their glasses together. Vanessa stood not too far away, invisible to them in her old wrinkled body. She recognized every voice, every laughter. Those were the same girls who used to hype her, post her pictures, call her Queen V, followed her everywhere like perfume. They laughed as if her entire existence was a joke. The loudest amongst them, Anita, said, "Vanessa thinks everybody is jealous of her. Meanwhile, she has nothing except her father's money. Remove daddy and she's an empty vessel that ends up making the loudest noise." Another went on to add, "Honestly, Vanessa is not even a good person. She's just fine. That's all. No kindness, no humility, nothing. If not that her parents are rich, you will never catch me dead with an unruly girl like her." Imagine her wickedness to that old woman. God will punish her one day. They all burst into laughter again, sipping their drinks, calling her stupid, shallow, empty, fake and heartless as Vanessa staggered backwards holding her chest. It hurt. It hurt more than hunger. It hurt more than her thirst, more than sleeping beside the gutter. She realized in that moment that nobody truly loved her, not even her so-called friends. They only loved what she had and were with her because of it. Tears poured down her old wrinkled cheeks as she walked away, each step heavy like her heart was carrying a cement. For the first time, Vanessa understood what it felt like to be laughed at with no voice to defend yourself. Later that evening, she curled up beside an abandoned shop and wept bitterly. She could not believe how she belittled others just to make herself feel better. Vanessa remembered how she treated the poor old woman whose body she now possessed. All she had to do was give her some water to drink, but instead she poured the water on her, not caring how inhumane her actions were. Vanessa wept as she began to apologize, promising that if she ever gets back to her body, she would be nothing but kind and considerate towards others. Her tears soaked the dusty ground as she cried herself to sleep. The next morning, Vanessa woke up to the shocker of her life. She was now in her room, lying down on her soft bed, which she had missed for all these weeks. Her eyes widened in disbelief to realize that she was finally back in her own body. "Oh my God!" Vanessa screamed, grabbing her face, her hair, her body. It's me! I'm back!" She burst into tears, not the fake Instagram type, the deep grateful kind that came from the heart that had been humbled, broken and rebuilt. Vanessa jumped up and hugged her pillow, laughing and crying at the same time. But then, something inside her stopped her celebration. A memory, a hunger, the humiliation, the begging, the loneliness, the old woman's trembling hand, the bucket of cold water. Vanessa suddenly dropped to her knees. Thank you God for this second chance. I promise I won't waste it, she said as her mates walked in to greet her, expecting the usual insult. However, instead of insulting them, Vanessa stood up and smiled at them. Good morning, she said softly as the maids froze. Vanessa, in that moment, apologized to them for all the terrible things that she did and said to them, I'm sorry for everything, for the way I treated you all these years. I was wrong, she said as they all stared at her like an alien. You are human beings and you deserve respect. Thank you for all the times you took care of me when I didn't even appreciate you. One maid burst into tears as the others followed. Vanessa hugged them tightly, something she had never done in her entire life. From that day, she treated them with kindness, patience and dignity. She learned their names, asked about their children, gave them better salaries, reduced their workload, and made sure her home became a safe place for everyone to work and live. Vanessa then set out in search of the old woman. She wanted to apologize properly and had to find her to do so. She searched the streets, went to the junction, checked under the bridge, and even asked beggars and roadside sellers for her, but no one had seen the poor old woman. Vanessa was so disappointed. She returned the next day, and the day after that, and even the next week, but still, no one had seen the old woman. It was as if the woman had disappeared from the face of the earth. So, one evening, exhausted and heartbroken, Vanessa sat in her room, flipping through her diary, a diary she hadn't touched in months. As she turned the pages, a small folded paper slipped out. Her heart skipped as she opened it curiously. It was a handwritten note that read, Kindness is the water that quenches the thirst of the soul. Thank you for finally drinking from it. Vanessa pressed the note to her chest as tears rushed down her face. She wept like a child, not out of sadness, but out of a deep, overwhelming gratitude to a woman who taught her kindness in the most unusual way. Vanessa remembered the humiliating video she made of her online. She opened her Instagram page and found the video, which now had millions of views and comments. Vanessa took down the video as she made an apology video, one that shook the internet at its core. Within minutes, her page exploded. People were shocked, confused. Some applauded, some doubted, some mocked, but Vanessa did not care. For once in her life, she wasn't living for applause. She unfollowed every friend who laughed at her during her lowest moment. She blocked the fake accounts. She cut off every toxic group chat and left behind Vanessa whose heart was empty. From that day on, Vanessa lived a life full of kindness and love. People in Lagos began to whisper that Vanessa had changed, not because she announced it, but because kindness glowed from her like perfume. Her parents were shocked. Her maids felt safe. Her community respected her. And Vanessa finally felt something money could never buy. Peace. And though she never saw the old woman again, Vanessa never forgot her. Every time she treated someone with kindness, she felt a soft, gentle warmth around her, almost like a blessing, the blessing that changed her life forever. The lesson to be learned from this story is that true beauty is not measured by wealth, appearance or pride, but by the kindness we show to others. Life can change in a moment, and the same people we look down on today may become the very ones we need tomorrow. Vanessa's journey teaches us that humility opens doors that pride will forever keep shut, and that kindness, no matter how small, is the only wealth that never fades. I hope you enjoyed the story.